The very source of life really depends on proper pH balance. And so we have a much better chance at living the life we want to live if we can keep our chemistry in balance. We all want more life. We want to have the best possible functioning, have the best possible energy, the most exuberance. And if we balance our chemistry, we have a much better chance at that. So I became very fond of studying pH balance because I saw it could improve my own health. And in fact, I can say now, decades later, after working in the field of nutrition and really focusing in on pH balance and optimum nutrition, that I have much better health than I had when I was young. I'm much stronger, I don't tend to get ill, and I have much better energy. So part of the goal is to really work on setting an optimum chemistry to have great health, and for the advantage of living longer and staying stronger, being healthier. And certainly I'm interested in longevity because there's so much I want to learn. So I want to help make change as we move towards a new age where we work, where we live more in harmony with the nature of our body and more in harmony with the universe. And so it's my pure pleasure to share this information that I learned. By my first profession, I am an anthropologist, and I was studying cultures in South America, the Caribbean, after graduate school. But also at that time, I was experiencing certain health problems. I had a lot of low blood sugar, a lot of allergies, a lot of sinus, and actually when I finally did some blood chemistries, I was even anemic, various things going on that showed I really wasn't taking care of myself that well. I became very interested in nutrition, Oriental medicine, homeopathy, because I was associating with some very smart people who knew a lot about how to build and maintain health. It was that time, a few years after graduate school, that I got associated with Dr. Russell Jaffe, who is really a noted physician, one of the first doctors of functional medicine before they even invented functional medicine. And he was teaching us many things, but particularly about pH balance. It was then that I came to understand the terrific value that pH balance had for maintaining optimum health, and I realized I could use this as a part of the tools of regenerating my own health to create an optimum pH balance, which would allow all the cells to function more properly, the enzymes to be produced well and be activated well, the protein to be synthesized at a high level of efficacy. And then, of course, my interest in pH greatly accelerated when I undertook the study of bone health. Many people know the story that my grandmother, who I love dearly, fractured her hip at 101. She fell in the bathtub at 101, and she died a year later as a result of that hip fracture. So I was left thinking, gee, how long would this woman have lived? She was very cute in her mind. She had a great, loving personality, and she suffered both osteoporosis and rickets. And I realized that we didn't know anything about these disorders, and I came to specialize in studying bone. Working a bit with bone, looking at the literature carefully, it became apparent to me that pH balance is absolutely essential for bone. And in fact, if one desires to maintain bone mass, to maintain muscle mass also as they age, and to maintain kidney function, you really want to work to reduce this metabolic acidosis. And indeed, these type of alkaline diets, which are essentially just a diet high in fruits, vegetables, nuts and seeds and spices with adequate protein, this was the kind of diet we evolved on. It's a simple natural foods diet, no processed foods, lots of whole natural foods, really tilting strongly toward the vegetable side. We evolved on a diet very high in potassium, in magnesium, in a wide variety of minerals. Now we're eating a very mineral depleted diet. Those minerals are all in food are very alkalizing. The depleted diet we're eating is a lot of processed food that the minerals are taken out before processing, like with magnesium, so much is lost just processing the food, going from brown rice to white rice, for example. Much less soil depletion that's happening today, that we're losing minerals. So as an anthropologist, we're talking about our genetic machinery, particularly our kidneys, are designed to work best, and every cell works best in a diet that's high in these minerals, what you can call an alkaline diet. and it's a stress on the body if they're not. Now, what you have to remember with pH balance is we're not talking about the blood chemistry. The blood always maintains itself in a very narrow range of pH, and you have to, or else you would die. We're talking about the pH balance that's called related to metabolic acidosis. In other words, acidosis that develops from an imbalanced diet. It's not short-term damage. You don't die, or you don't notice terribly effects if you get acid, but over the long term you're going to lose muscle, you're going to lose bone, you're going to lose energy, you're going to be more vulnerable to infection. It's a long-term impact, and that's what we care about. The average person, as you go from 35 to 85, could lose half of their bone mass and half of their muscle mass just because of this dietary acid load we have, the lack of fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. So it's a really important issue to me, and it's a fun issue because I, like everyone else, am challenged with how do I eat enough of these foods. If you want to alkalize, and these are researchers, this is nothing I made up, you have to have about 13 servings, half-cup servings of fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds a day. And that's a challenge. A recent study right in the U.S. showed that 1/3 of the population in any given day does not get even one fruit or one vegetable. So we're a long ways from anything nature ever intended about us living off fresh, whole, natural foods. And we pay the price for it over our lifetime. God bless the person who says, look, I can eat those 13 servings of fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. The research shows that you can alkalize if you get that amount of potassium. And the potassium RDA is 4,700. That's 13 servings of fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and spices. If you get those, it'll be potassium in the form of citrate largely, and you will alkalize. Most people, however, can't do it, and they they often need to take supplements. As it occurs today, our diet is woefully inadequate in these alkalizing mineral compounds, in what we call base-forming foods, foods that form base within the body. Like, for example, all these root crops, potatoes, sweet potatoes, yams, turnips, all these things are highly alkalizing, largely because of their potassium content. Potassium in food, in these vegetables, is formed as potassium citrate. It's the citrate that alkalizes, for example. We need supplements because we do not get the base-forming foods from our diet, partly because we don't eat enough of those kind of foods, partly because there's so much processed food around that it's so easy to grab a sandwich and a soda than it is to get a really high-quality, high vegetable-dense meal. We don't eat them. And also there's a question of soil depletion. We've lost a lot of the minerals in the soil over the last 50 years, much less over the last 100 years. So, and there's many things that we take, many medications, many lifestyle activities that deplete minerals from the body. So I realized the many benefits of the alkaline diet, everything from maintaining muscle, maintaining bone, allowing for better production of enzymes, better production of protein, control of cortisol, many, I could probably list 50 benefits of the alkaline diet. And we have listed those in the book, so I decided to write a little book, The Acid Alkaline Food Guide, which would help people understand just something about the simple basics of that little window where you can accumulate acids to your detriment, coming through the window of diet, and then listing the foods, which foods really tend to be highly alkalizing, like lemons or limes, which stems are moderately alkalizing, which foods are very acid forming, like some of the meats and processed foods, and any protein food is acid forming. It doesn't mean that you don't want to eat acid forming foods, it just means the balance. You want more plant-based alkaline foods, less acid forming foods. The Acid Alkaline Food Guide has been translated into many, probably 10, 12 languages, I don't remember how many right now. And why is it so popular around the world? Because many cultures appreciate this really kind of long-term understanding that pH balance is important. We've gone through several phases of learning about pH, and there were some schools several decades ago, and now there's this new school which is more sophisticated, which can study how the body actually metabolizes food and what's the end result. This book was popular because people like a guidebook. They want to know which foods are going to help them most. But it also was popular because many people intuitively have an understanding that they're too acid. and that they want to rebalance their chemistry. Some people have studied it. It's quite a well-known phenomena. It's clear in the textbooks that we have to maintain an alkaline state, and we can help ourselves with our diet. My fun in life is learning new things and sharing those things, and I want to be able to be alert and strong, to learn so many more fascinating things to share with so many people. When I was younger and I didn't have such good health, I always would have been looking for someone to teach me things. In fact, I did. I was fascinated with reading Adele Davis and other people who were out there trying to help the individual consumer improve their health. So I want to share because I want people to know what I didn't know. And I want people to know some of this new information and some of these new perspectives,